Welcome to Just Asia, AHRC TV's weekly human rights program. These are the headlines. Indian journalist gunned down. Pakistan court shockingly acquits attacker of Fatal 7. Indonesian parliament enact problematic terrorism law. Departure of UN Human Rights Commissioner. Balochis call for return of disappeared on occasion of Eid. Burma's agreement with UN on Rohingya resettlement remains secret. Welcome to AHRC TV's Just Asia. I'm Alexandra. This week, Just Asia begins with India, where Shujaat Bukhaari, editor of the newspaper Rising Kashmir, was gunned down outside his office in Srinagar on June 14. A highly respected journalist with an electric body of work behind him, Bukhaari was known for his consistent advocacy for peace and dialogue in Kashmir. His assassination, along with that of journalist Gauri Lankesh in Bangalore earlier, has shown the danger and threatening conditions facing journalists reporting on sensitive issues. The assassination of journalists and the abuse faced by those reporting on certain issues indicates the severe threat freedom of the press is under in India. In Pakistan, a shocking judgment has acquitted Shah Hussain of stabbing his fellow student 23 times. Hussain fatally wounded 23-year-old Khadeeja Siddiqui after she rejected him romantically in May 2016. After recovering, Khadeeja fought bravely to obtain justice amid many obstacles, including no one willing to go up against Hussain and his father. A Supreme Court lawyer, thankfully, Hussain was convicted and sentenced to 7 years in prison in July 2017. In the appeal, the Lahore High Court acquitted Hussain of all charges. The June 4th judgment further engaged in some victim bashing, creating a huge uproar in the country, where prejudice and violence against women are widespread and rarely punished. The reaction to this judgment has led Pakistan's Supreme Court to announce it will hold hearings on the case later this summer. Next, Indonesia's parliament has finally enacted the new bill on anti-terrorism to replace the old law number 15 of 2003. The revision of the law was a lengthy process without significant progress. President Widodo had even warned the parliament to finish the revision or the government would issue a regulation in lieu of law to replace the old law. One of the most controversial articles of the new law is Article 43, which includes the military in combating terrorism. Without further explanation, the article merely states that detailed involvement of the military will be regulated under a presidential decree. Indonesia's dark history of 32 years under the Suharto dictatorship, with the military involved in all matters and committing grave human rights abuses, has caused much consternation by civil society at this provision. Other articles of the new law that need more clarity or revision are the definition of terrorism in Article 1 and the duration of detention in Article 25, which goes up to 270 days or 9 months. Also, under Article 28, the police can arrest anyone before they are named as suspects and detain them for 21 days. Article 31 and 31A on wiretapping also needs further regulation to avoid abuse of power. Moving to the UN, the Human Rights Council is in its 38th regular session. The 38th regular session began on Monday in Geneva, Switzerland. This is the last regular session of the Council in the presence of Zeid Ra'ad Al Hussein as the High Commissioner for Human Rights of the United Nations. Zeid's departure from the office raises speculation over the future of the global human rights platform. The Asian Legal Resource Center's main representative to the United Nations, Mohammad Ashraf Hussain, tells us more about it.
The 38th regular session of the UN Human Rights Council is important, of course, for many reasons because of the agenda being discussed, but very significantly, the incumbent United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights, Mr. Zeid Ra'ad Al Hussein, is for the last time participating in the Human Rights Council session, as he is now the outgoing High Commissioner for Human Rights. He did not pursue an extension because of the global political situation. A number of powerful states, they don't appreciate a strong voice like him to be in the United Nations Human Rights Council and in the office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights. In that context, there are discourse that maybe the global human rights platform is losing one of its most vocal and strongest voices for human rights in the recent history. On the other hand, there are speculations that who is going to replace Mr. Zaid Ra'ad Al Hussain, and whether the upcoming person or incoming person is going to be as strong as Mr. Hussain maintained during his tenure in office. In the current context, when the United States has withdrawn itself from the UN Human Rights Council, at the time of departure of the High Commissioner for Human Rights, particularly Mr. Zaid Ra'ad Al Hussain, so there are speculations from civil society and victims of human rights abuses who actively follow the actions and programs of the global human rights mechanism. Everyone is thinking who is going to replace Mr. Zaid Ra'ad Al Hussain and how the withdrawal of United States is going to contribute to the new recruitment or replacement of the position of High Commissioner for Human Rights of the United Nations. All the civil society organizations and actors should constructively contribute to the process of recruitment of an outspoken and committed person as the High Commissioner for Human Rights for the coming sessions and tenure.
Next, in Balochistan's Quetta city, thousands demanded the return of their beloved on the auspicious Islamic celebration of Eid, allegedly abducted by Pakistani intelligence agencies. Protesters urged the United Nations and international human rights community to take action against the abduction of Information Secretary of Baloch Human Rights Organization, Muhammad Nawaz Atta, and 8 other students. Atta and 8 other students were reportedly taken into custody in October last year. Since then, there has been no news regarding their whereabouts or well-being. Meanwhile, a prominent Baloch activist, Mama Kadir, who runs a campaign against missing persons in Balochistan, celebrated Eid by cleaning the photos of the missing people and those who were killed. According to Kadir, some 45,000 Balochis are missing. Moving to Burma, the government signed a deal at the beginning of June with the United Nations to begin the long progress of resettling some of the 700,000 Rohingya refugees who fled their homes for neighboring Bangladesh after a brutal military campaign last year. While the Burmese government is using the agreement as proof that it is doing right by the Rohingya, the unusually secret nature of the agreement means no outside observers are able to verify the claims. The 3 parties that signed the Memorandum of Understanding, the UN Refugee Agency, the UN Development Programme, and the Burmese government, have declined to make the text of the agreement available to those who have asked to see it, including journalists, other UN officials, and UN donors country. Negotiations between the UN agencies and the Burmese government took about 4 months, with especially heated discussions about the issues of citizenship and identity of the Rohingya. Nut Obsby, the UN resident and humanitarian coordinator in Burma, said in an interview that the agreement specifies that the Rohingya need to be able to live in safety and be provided basic services, including access to work and shelter. We have requested and agreed that there should be a clear and predictable pathway to citizenship, Obsby said. That is all for this episode of Just Asia. For more on this and other issues, please visit www.humanrights.org. humanrights.asia or www.alrc.asia/justasia. Thank you for watching and see you next week.